Salute, salute, salute. Mel Knight Sports in the building. So we had Shakur Stevenson versus William Zepeda last night. Great fight, action packed. Great performance by both men. Shakur did his thing, and Zepeda did his thing as far as hanging in there. I knew Shakur was going to put put his paws on him. I knew it was going to be an outclass. Um, Shakur is just levels above Zepeda. He's levels above a lot of people. And that style tailor made for Shakur. And honestly speaking, Shakur could have actually beat him a lot easier. You know what I'm saying? But he chose to stay in the pocket and fight the fight like that. He chose to fight Zepeda's fight, in my personal opinion, and he beat him at his own game. He stayed right in front of him. You know what I'm saying? Zepeda was doing a good job at uh, you know, cutting off the ring, but I think that Shakur didn't really use his legs. You know what I'm saying? Shakur didn't really use his bicycle. And, a lot of people might say that's a good thing. Some people might say it's a bad, I don't really like the way he fought. I think he could have, I didn't like him on the back ropes. I didn't like his back on the ropes. And, I just I think when he uses his legs, it's still entertaining. As long as he engages, it's still a very entertaining fight. It's just, um, people like to forget that styles make fights. When he fought um De Los Santos, De Los Santos is a knockout artist. He's a power puncher. He fought that fight according to that. You know what I'm saying? And so and De Los Santos is extremely athletic, extremely athletic. You know what I'm saying? So he fought that fight just like that. But he's still a very action-packed fighter. It's just styles make fights, and sometimes you have to take the right road to victory. So I don't blame him for that. And also, again, it's up to the fighter, it's up to the opponent to make him bend to his will and essentially fight that fight um, that they need to do to win. And so Del Santos didn't do that. Zepeda didn't do that. And you see the results. But we have Tank Davis. Everyone in boxing is clamoring for this fight at 135. We've been asking Gervonta Davis for better part of 5 to 7 years now to fight someone on his level. You know what I'm saying? Someone that's going to push him to the brink. Now, of course, Lamont Roach did that, but no, Lamont Roach was coming up in weight, 130 fighter. Um, and I believe personally, I think it was a cherry pick gone wrong. Personally, I think it was a cherry pick gone wrong, and you know, Tank wasn't thinking that he was going to get that type of fight, but he did. He did get that fight, and nonetheless, it'll be a good rematch and all that stuff. But we want to see we want to see Tank against sorry, we do want to see Tank against him, but we want to see Tank against Shakur Stevenson. You know what I'm saying? When that fight's not going to happen because Tank is not in the business of fighting dudes that actually can beat him. That's just the plain and old simple truth. And Tank fans get mad whenever you say, let him fight Shakur. Their first thing is to say, what has Shakur done? Shakur's not going to sell. Well, if you go back on Tank's resume, none of the fighters have sold, and none of them have done anything to deserve a fight with Gervonta Davis. So that argument is super old, and it's completely invalid. So we have to just call out these clear, uh, uh, you know, dodging tactics. They don't want Tank to fight Shakur because Shakur is possibly going to beat him. Now I'm not. No, I actually slightly favor Tank in that fight, but it just depends on how Shakur fights that fight. It all depends on how he fights it. Because if he does what he did against Zepeda, he will not win that fight against Davis. He will not win that fight against Davis. But if he does what he did against, Jamel Herring, you know, um, who else has Shakur fought? Uh, Nonetheless, you know what I'm saying? I've seen many of his fight. I can't really remember his opponents, but what's his name? Guy at 130. Um, the guy that was caught for steroids. I do not remember his name, but that was a good fight. Robson Conceição, if he fights a fight like that, he's gonna beat Shakur. And First of all, Shakur has a lot more advantages. He's taller, he's bigger, um, and he's the more polished boxer. You know what I'm saying? He's the more polished boxer. He has more ways to win. Shakur only has a couple ways to win. Sorry, Tank only has a couple ways to win, but Shakur has more ways to win. And if he chooses correctly, he'll win that fight. And so, Tank fans don't want that. You know what I'm saying? They want him to stay fighting the same old dudes, the same dudes we never heard of. You know what I'm saying? And just for him to get a better record. And look, I get that, but as a fan of boxing, we need to see the best fight the best. That's just what it is. And I'm not a Tank hater. You know what I'm saying? I just want to see him be tested. I want to see who's better out of these two. I want to see who's better between Tank and, Devin. I want to see who's better between Devin and Devin and Shakur. I want to see all the fights. You know what I'm saying? Why is that? If you're a fan of a fighter, you're automatically looked as, you know, you're hating against the other fighter just because you want them to fight someone that's on their level. You know what I'm saying? So that's a very, very toxic thing that we have in the boxing community, in the boxing, as boxing fans. And so I want to see this fight, but Tank will not fight him. He doesn't want to fight him. And we all know why. We all know why, because Shakur has a very good chance of beating him. Now, it's still a 50-50 fight. It's still a 50-50 fight, no matter what way you cut it. But Shakur has more ways to beat him, and it's going to be a very tough for Tank to fight Shakur. It's going to be a very tough one. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be really hard. You know what I'm saying? So I would like to see the fight, of course. Let me know in the comments what you think. Who do you think would win between Tank and Shakur? They're both at 135. Why? And they're both champions. Why is this fight not being made? It's a huge fight. It's bigger than Lamont Roach. It's bigger than any fight that Shakur's had. Is bigger than is better than Shakur is better than everyone on Tank's resume. Everyone. So the excuses are simply not making sense, and the walls are closing in. We need to get this fight, but I'm very skeptical this fight ever takes place. I'm under the assumption that it probably won't take place, but it's all going to be from Shakur. Sorry, it's all going to be from Tank. I'm sorry, all going to be from Tank. Tank can fight anybody he wants. You know what I'm saying? So, Tank fans, let the fight happen. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Mel Knight Sports, like, subscribe for more content. Peace.